Across the vast steppes of Mongolia, where the sky stretches endlessly, and the wind carries the scent of dry grass and incense smoke, some stories have never faded with time. This is a land of nomads and silent meditation, a place where Vajrayana Buddhism has intertwined with daily life for centuries, weaving itself into the fabric of the grasslands, becoming as natural as breath. Here, meditation is not just a practice for the mind. For many, it's a path back to the purest state of being, beyond life, beyond death, beyond even time itself. And among all the stories whispered across these open plains, few are as quietly astonishing as the tale of the Golden Monk. A story that invites us to pause and listen, not with curiosity alone, but with reverence. In early 2015, in the province of Songino-Khairkhan, near Mongolia's capital Ulaanbaatar, something happened that quietly echoed far beyond the steppes. Local residents came upon an old Buddha statue, said to have been passed down and kept hidden for generations. But when the statue was finally opened for inspection, people were stunned to discover what lay inside. It wasn't wood or bronze. Inside the statue was a real human body, seated in the lotus position, perfectly still. The figure had been carefully wrapped in a thin layer of gold. Under the dim light of that small room, the golden surface shimmered softly, as if holding its own secret glow. News of the discovery spread quickly, not just across Mongolia, but around the world. International media called him the Diamond Monk of Mongolia, or sometimes the Golden Mummy of Mongolia. Researchers from the Mongolian Academy of Sciences stepped in to examine the find. They conducted X-ray scans and confirmed inside the gold covering was a real human body. The skeleton remained intact, seated in full meditation posture. The hands rested gently in the lap, palms open, one placed atop the other. The body showed no major signs of decay, even though it was believed to be several centuries old. But who was this monk? According to some sources, Buddhist records and oral accounts passed along by Mongolian and Russian scholars, the monk may have been Sangha Dorje, also known in Russian transliteration as Sangha Dorji. Yet to this day, no official inscription has confirmed his full identity. There is no detailed biography of his life, no temple records, no written history that tells us exactly who he was. And perhaps that too is part of the legacy he left behind. No name carved in stone, no worldly achievements to boast of. Only a silent golden figure seated in stillness, wrapped in mystery, and offering more questions than answers. But the most profound question people ask is not just about the gold, or the statue, or even the meditation pose that remains unbroken after so many years. It's a question that reaches beyond science, beyond religion, and touches something deeper. How could a human being remain seated in meditation for hundreds of years, without the body ever decaying? Is this the result of an advanced meditative practice, or a rare natural phenomenon? Or perhaps, are there some mysteries that science has not yet explained, and maybe doesn't need to? Behind the veil of time, in the stillness of Mongolia's grasslands, the story of the Diamond Monk remains. It is not just a story to be heard, it is a story to reflect upon. And so, our journey begins. In the vast landscape of Buddhist practice, few traditions emphasize inner transformation as deeply as Vajrayana Buddhism. Known as the Diamond Path, Vajrayana is practiced widely across Mongolia, Tibet, and parts of the Himalayas. It is a path that goes beyond rituals or philosophy. It focuses on direct experience through meditation, visualization, and the cultivation of wisdom and compassion in daily life. For many Vajrayana practitioners, meditation is not simply a technique. It is a way of dissolving the barriers between the self and the universe. A practice that leads not just to peace of mind, but to a state of awakening where all concepts of birth and death are transcended. According to oral stories passed down through generations, Sangha Dorje, the monk whose body was later found preserved in gold, was one such practitioner. The legends say he was a humble monk, a man of few words, living quietly among his fellow practitioners, devoting his life to the discipline of meditation. He was not known for seeking recognition or gathering disciples. He chose a simple life of retreat, far from the distractions of the world. There are no official records to confirm these details. His story has survived mostly through whispered memories, shared between monks, elders, and local families across the Mongolian steppes. But the core of the story remains consistent. Sangha Dorje is remembered not for what he did in public, but for how deeply he disappeared into practice. One of the highest forms of commitment in Vajrayana Buddhism is the practice of deep retreat. This is when a practitioner enters prolonged seclusion, sometimes for months, years, or even a lifetime, dedicated solely to meditation and spiritual work. In some cases, the monk remains in a solitary dwelling called a retreat hut or sealed chamber. They renounce contact with the outside world, relying on simple meals brought to them by fellow monks or family members. Over time, even these small interactions may stop as the practitioner turns entirely inward. The goal is not escape from life, but the opposite, to engage fully with the mind, to examine the nature of consciousness itself, to practice letting go of attachments, not just to material things, but to the very idea of self. In Vajrayana Buddhism, there is a rare and profound phenomenon known as Tukdam. This is a meditative state that can occur at the moment of death or even beyond it. When a highly realized practitioner dies while in deep meditation, it is said that their mind continues in a state of non-dual awareness. Their body may remain warm. Their skin may retain softness. The usual signs of death, stiffness, pallor, decay, do not immediately appear. Sometimes this state lasts for days, sometimes weeks. In the most extraordinary cases, people speak of Tukdam lasting months or even years. Modern science has documented Tukdam in a few instances, especially among Tibetan lamas. In some monasteries, medical doctors have witnessed the absence of decomposition long after clinical death. Brain activity ceases, yet the body remains serene, unmoved by time, untouched by decay. For spiritual practitioners, this is not considered miraculous in a sensational way. It is viewed as a natural result of lifetimes of meditative training, a sign of profound inner mastery. It is important to understand, Tukdam is not death in the ordinary sense. It is a process of letting go of the body, the breath, and even thought itself, but in a way that is entirely conscious, aware, and luminous. Could this be what happened to Sangha Dorje? Did he enter a state of meditation so deep that his body and mind gently released themselves from the cycles of ordinary life? There are no written records to confirm this. No scientific report has been able to say for sure. What we have are the stories passed down from those who knew of him. Stories that describe a monk who chose silence over fame, stillness over movement, and inner peace over worldly concerns. These tales, though part of folklore, carry a quiet reverence. They do not seek to prove or explain. They simply invite us to consider the possibility that there are dimensions of human consciousness we have yet to fully understand. And so, in the soft silence of Mongolia's history, the image of the diamond monk remains, not as a figure of mystery alone, but as a symbol of what it means to let go of the self, to dissolve into meditation so fully that even time itself forgets how to move forward. In 2015, when the Golden Buddha statue was finally opened, the discovery sent quiet ripples through Mongolia and eventually the world. Inside the statue, concealed for generations, was something no one had fully expected. Not a relic, not a sculpture, but the real body of a monk, seated in the lotus position, hands resting gently in the lap, eyes closed as if still deep in meditation. A thin layer of gold covered the monk's body, delicately wrapped over the skin, the robes, and the bones beneath. Underneath that shimmering surface was not an artifact, but a human being, perfectly still, perfectly silent. Scientists from the Mongolian Academy of Sciences conducted careful studies. They used X-ray technology to see through the golden exterior. What they found confirmed what many had suspected. This was not a statue. This was an authentic human body, seated in full meditative posture. The skeleton remained intact, the joints still folded gracefully in the lotus pose. Even the fingers were gently aligned, resting naturally. Experts estimated that the body was between 200 and 300 years old, and yet it showed remarkable preservation. No significant signs of decay, no collapse of the rib cage, no disintegration of the skin beneath the gold. For a body left without embalming fluid, refrigeration, or modern preservation methods, this was highly unusual. Naturally, questions arose. From a scientific perspective, some researchers proposed that Mongolia's dry, cold climate might have played a role. The air in certain regions of Mongolia is thin, the temperatures extreme. Such conditions can act as a natural preservative, slowing down the processes that usually lead to decay. Others speculated about ancient techniques of self-mummification, practices used by certain monastic traditions where monks would gradually prepare their bodies for death through diet, meditation, and herbal remedies. Could it be that Sangha Dorjo, the monk believed to be inside the statue, had intentionally followed such a path? Had he prepared his body in a way that allowed it to remain untouched by time? So far, no definitive answer has been found. Beyond science, there are also the beliefs of the local people, stories and traditions that have passed quietly from one generation to the next. Many Mongolians do not see the monk as dead in the ordinary sense. They believe he is still in a state of living meditation, his consciousness resting in Tukdam, the deep meditative absorption that transcends death. Some say that when the world is ready, when the right moment comes, he will awaken again. Not as a supernatural event, but as the natural continuation of a practice so profound it defies ordinary understanding. There is also a story, told in whispers passed from village to village, about how the statue was first discovered. According to this folk legend, the golden Buddha statue was not meant to be opened at all. The story says that a local man stole the statue, intending to sell it on the black market. But before he could succeed, the authorities intervened. When they examined the statue more closely, they found the secret hidden inside, the preserved body of a monk, quietly waiting in meditation. It's important to clarify, this tale remains a legend, part of local oral tradition. It has not been officially confirmed by government reports or academic sources. But whether the details are factual or not, the story reflects something deeper in the culture, a reverence for mystery, a respect for the sacred, and perhaps a gentle reminder that some things are meant to remain untouched until the right time comes. So the questions remain. Was the preservation of the diamond monk's body a product of natural climate? Was it the result of advanced monastic practices? Or is there something else, something beyond the limits of modern knowledge, still quietly at work? For now, there are no final answers, only the image of a monk seated in stillness, his body preserved through centuries of silence, a mystery that continues to sit softly at the edge of what we know. When we hear stories like this, of a monk who sits silently for centuries, whose body remains untouched by time, it's natural to wonder, what does it really mean? Is it a miracle, a scientific anomaly, or is it something else entirely, something beyond the need for explanation? In modern life, everything moves quickly. We rush from one task to the next. Our days are filled with noise, notifications, deadlines, distractions. We measure success by action, by speed, by visible results. But what if there is another kind of legacy? A legacy that has nothing to do with achievements or fame. A legacy of stillness. The diamond monk of Mongolia left no written teachings, no followers, no grand temples built in his name. He left silence. And yet, centuries later, people from around the world still gather to look at his golden body, to wonder, to reflect. Not because he spoke many words, but because he chose not to. Not because he did something extraordinary, but because he chose to simply sit. Science has tried to understand how his body could remain so well preserved. Is it the climate? Is it a forgotten technique of self-mummification? Is it the result of a meditative state like Tukdam, where the mind rests in awareness even after death? Perhaps it is all of these things. Or perhaps it is none of them. There are some questions that resist answers. And maybe that's the point. Some mysteries are not here to be solved. They are here to be held gently, like a quiet flame in the palm of the hand. What happens when a person lets go of everything? Fame, ambition, even the body itself. What remains? Perhaps only presence, a kind of soft imprint on the world that asks no attention yet still lingers. Stillness in this way becomes a kind of teaching, a lesson without words, a silence that echoes through time. In the end, the diamond monk's legacy is not just a preserved body wrapped in gold. It is an invitation to pause, to breathe, to consider a different way of being, not always chasing, not always achieving, but sometimes simply sitting. And so in today's fast-moving world, perhaps the real question is not how the diamond monk preserved his body, but rather, what can we learn from someone who chose to sit still for centuries?